Good morning everybody, Kevin here with Bullish Bears with another video for you guys. Today's video I'm going to be doing a pre-market plan. That's when I go over the charts. Today we're going to be going over NASDAQ and I'm going to create a plan or plans based off of markets and areas of interest. I'm going to be showing you guys how I use my zones and how I flip my zones once we break through them. So let's get into it. We're looking at the NASDAQ right now. Right here, we're looking at the 3-hour time frame. We could always start higher, 4-hour, or the daily, just to get a feel for the market. As we see yesterday, we had a break of structure. We broke some ranges. We hit a strong key level over here. Reversed, we have a nice strong green candle bringing us back within the 17,700 to 18,000 range. It's about a 300-point range on the NASDAQ, really giving us good volatility in the market lately, especially with how great NVIDIA and AI stocks have been booming, right? So I mention this because when I'm trading and when I'm creating some type of trade plan, I want to be aware of what's going on news-related and equity and stock-related that might impact the market. So I see we have almost a basing on the daily as well, with a green strong candle with some follow-through. That is today's daily candle. So again, I would be looking for some type of bullish action based off of the daily time frame. Again, though, I do have to be aware that we created a higher high right here. So we created all these higher highs coming up this way. Right? We created a higher high, higher high, higher high. Now we're creating a lower high on the daily. So let's see, I would then mark out right here. Let's do our trend line tool. And if you hold the shift button, it straightens itself out. I'm going to mark this out as some buy side liquidity. And I'm even going to edit it so I know what time frame that is. That way I know that this is a very, very strong level. That's also our swing, that previous lower high. So now let's knock it down to the 6-hour. Not seeing any zones over here except the 6-hour supply zone way up here around 18,050. Go down to the 4-hour. Not really seeing much on here. The 3-hour. So I have our 3-hour supply zone right up in here from about 17,965 to about 18,027. So it's a pretty large zone. That's about 60 points on that on the NASDAQ. We do have a 2-hour supply zone within that zone, and I'll show you guys the time frame. And the reason I have the 3-hour marks as well is because this is a very small zone, this 2-hour. There's a chance we reject somewhere near the start of this 3-hour supply zone, which also is an order block for those of you who use ICT concepts. And again, if we look, this buy side liquidity on the daily, that is right above the supply zone. So this is a really, really, really strong area with a lot of selling pressure. A lot of people hitting that sell button, a lot of stop orders up here, a lot of market participants, and a lot of unfilled orders from the last time we sold off from this zone. So let's break it down to these smaller time frames. Let's go to the 2-hour, the 1-hour, and see what we got going. So here on the 1-hour, what I see is we have a lot of broken zones. We broke, this was a 3-hour zone that we broke and a 1-hour zone that we broke. So what I did was I threw some little labels, some rectangle tools on there that say buy. So I know that there are buyers in these zones. But something else that I noticed on the 1-hour is this broken 3-hour zone. We have a new demand zone here. So now I would mark out this 1-hour demand zone. And I have all of my levels, everything is saved under templates for my trend line. So horizontal ray, what you could do is you could create and save a whole bunch of different templates. So I could do 1-hour, then save as template, save D1H, right? And then you could have all the different ones so you don't have to be typing it out each time. So let's go D1H, that's my 1-hour demand zone. I have my rectangle tool ready to go. And we're going to also save that as a template. So those you don't really have to save as templates because they are just a bit simple to create with the rectangle tool. Just change it from red to green if you're doing supply and demand. So I'm really interested in this area for buyers to step into the market. This was an area where we consolidated after a strong move up and we broke an old supply zone and created a new demand zone there. So this is a really strong area where the market has high volume. It's very key, so I'm going to be looking for a long position over there. And I would target this broken supply zone. Now this supply zone is broken, however, we barely held above it. We failed to hold above it. We kept failing. I do want to see if we push our way back higher, because remember, bulls have been in control. I wouldn't be surprised if we had to push up, some consolidation, a hold of this 17,875. This is a key level because it is where the 30-minute supply zone started. See if we want to hold that and create some new higher highs based off of this 45-minute time frame. But again, I'm being patient. I want to see if we could pull back to this demand zone where I know that there's a lot of liquidity. See if we could play it off of that. Look at the 30 minutes, see if we have any 30-minute zones. I notice we have a 30-minute demand zone right where this 1 hour demand zone lines up. So I would not mark this zone out because we already have the 1 hour there, right? So I don't want the 1 hour and the 30 there because then we're just throwing too many zones. And the screens, the chart, it gets too messy. So I would have trade setup number 1. I would look for long positions over here on the NASDAQ. Trade setup number 2. What I like to do with supply and demand zones is when we break those zones with strength that day, I'll look to flip those zones. So instead of going short in a supply zone because everybody else thinks we should be going short, I'm going to wait for a break because I know bulls were in control. Or if we're going bearish, I know bears were in control. But if we take this demand zone, I'm going to wait for a break, a hold, and a retest of this zone. And I will enter my long positions on the retest with my stop at a previous swing low position, right? So I'm going to be entering on some sort of higher low based off of my zone criterias. So I'm able to create my stop loss, so I know where I'm stopping out, I know where my target is, and I know how much I'm risking and how much my reward is. And that's the 4 few main things that we have to be aware of when we're trading. How much we're risking on the trade, how much we're going to be making on the trade, and where our stop and take profit are. Now these things, they are all together. If you just know how much you're risking per trade, that alone will help you and save you from blowing accounts. Because then you know I'm risking 300 per trade. You're not going to be surprised when you have a big loss, because you're not going to have a big loss. You're going to respect your stop loss. And with the TradingView tool, you could see how many contracts you need to risk that amount of money based off of your stop loss. So there's all different tools in the market that we could use to really take advantage. Another setup I might look out for is I might look for a bit of a liquidity sweep of these pre-market highs over here. So I'm going to mark this out as some buy-side liquidity. The only thing with that is there's not much extra confirmation. We have the pre-market highs, but that's about it, right? So we have some buy-side liquidity. I know that there are buyers sitting up here, but I also know that the trend has been bullish. So the odds of us reversing when we create another higher high are sort of low, right? They're not really in our favor. So if something's not in our favor in the market, we're not really going to take that. I see we sort of found a bit of a floor. This is on the 5-minute. Just sort of how we're creating all these higher lows. We're breaking, rejecting to push back up. It's just things that I like to break down when I'm trading, when I'm creating a plan in the mornings to understand what kind of direction, what kind of market I should be looking at, what kind of plans I should be creating. Again, looking at the 30-minute time frame looks good for bulls. Everything's creating these higher lows. We had a nice bearish move for the past week or so. Not even. Let's see. If you hold shift and click, it will automatically bring out the measurement tool. So those of you who might not be quick enough with the long and short position tool, you could do the measurement tool to measure how many points you're risking and do the math like that. So we've sort of been bearish the past 9 days or so, right? Up until we had this strong move. A lot of it was brought to us from that NVIDIA earnings call yesterday. Again, acknowledging what's going on in the market. How is AI affecting the market? How is NVIDIA affecting the market? Or Apple or Microsoft? I want to be aware of all of these equities, especially when I'm trading the NASDAQ. Alright, so those were my few plans for today. Going to be looking for long positions at this 1 hour demand. Going to be looking for long positions if we pull back to this broken supply zone. And that's sort of it, right? So today I'm really focused on long trades, right? I want to be long in the market because the market has been bullish. However, I am prepared if the market wants to reverse. So I'm looking at this buy side liquidity, and if it gives me a strong rejection with some extra confirmation, maybe the VIX might be trying to push higher, maybe ES might also be at some form of resistance, maybe the weighted index is also weak. There's different things to look at in the market other than just the NASDAQ. Now, you could look at just the NASDAQ and trade off price action, look for extra confirmations, but you're going to have a difficult time because it's good to understand what's going on with the market in total. Again, what's the VIX doing? Let's see. So I'll show you guys exactly what I keep up. It's the ES, it's the NASDAQ, it is the VIX. I use the VIX, not the /VIX futures. I do feel like VIX moves a lot smoother. And then there's the weighted indice, which again is Apple plus 5.86 star, Microsoft plus 3.32 star. You don't need to put the bats in there. That is just, you don't need it. But that's how you would enter it on Thinkorswim. That's how you would enter it on TradingView, and it brings up a chart based off of those stocks weighted exactly like you see it. So it's 1.95 Google stock, 2 Tesla stock, 3 Amazon stock, 5.86 Microsoft stock, and 7.25 Apple stock. What I will do on this chart is I will turn off the extended trading hours, look at the regular trading hours, and I will mark off supply and demand zones on this chart as well. And this might be that extra confirmation that I'm looking for, right? So we had the strong 45-minute demand zone. We held up. Look at how many times we held this area. Held it. We broke it. And now look at that. What used to be a floor in the market is now resistance. So we had support, resistance, again resistance on the next candle. And now we're coming right back into it, but look at that pre-market. We're gapped way above, right up to here. So again, I'm going to be looking for us to retest some old supply zones, to use supply as demand, and go long from there. So I'm going to be using the weighted index to say, okay, well, should we be holding these long positions, or should I really want to flip back bearish? Do bears want to take control here? So that's something I'm going to be looking for today. Those are a few plans, a few ways I use the market for confirmations, and a few setups I'll be looking for on the NASDAQ today. Alright guys, I hope this video helped. Have a fantastic day. Have a great trading day. Take care. Happy trading. Hit that like and subscribe button. Take care, everyone.